Hi, I'm Stephanie and welcome to your playground, Gulfstream Park. Today I'm in the poker room inside the Finish Line Casino, where I'll be showing you how to split the pot with one of the most entertaining forms of poker, Omaha Split High-Low. Omaha High-Low, also known as Omaha 8 or Omaha High-Low Split 8 or better, has become a hugely popular game around the world. Each player in Omaha High-Low game is dealt 4 private cards. They're whole cards that belong only to that player. After 3 rounds of betting, 5 community cards will be face-up on the board. All players use exactly 2 cards from their 4 whole cards in conjunction with exactly 3 cards from the board to make their best 5-card poker hands. The pot is divided between the best hand for high and the best hand for low, hence the name Omaha High-Low. You may use different combinations of 2 cards from your hand to make your high hand and your low hand, but you must use precisely 2 from your hand and 3 from the board. No more, no less. Omaha High-Low is played with an 8 or better qualifier, which means that a low hand must consist of 5 different cards ranked 8 or below to be eligible to win the low portion of the pot. If there is no qualifying low hand, the high hand wins the entire pot. Omaha High-Low uses the Ace to 5 or California system for ranking low hands. Straights and flushes do not count against a hand, and aces are always low in reading the low hand. So the best possible hand is a wheel or ace 2, 3, 4, 5. Omaha High-Low can be played in the following formats. Limit Omaha High-Low. Specific betting limits are applied on each game and on each round of betting. Pot Limit Omaha High-Low. Bets are limited to the amount of chips in the pot. No Limit Omaha High-Low. A player can bet all of the chips that he has available. In Mixed Omaha High-Low, the game alternates between rounds of limit and pot limit. The blinds are increased when the game switches from pot limit to ensure that the stake levels are still consistent. In Omaha High-Low, a marker called the button or the dealer button indicates which player is the nominal dealer for the current game. Before the player begins, the player immediately clockwise from the button posts a small blind. This is a first force bet. The player immediately clockwise from the small blind posts a big blind, which is typically twice the size of the small blind. The blinds can vary depending on the stakes and the betting structure being played. Each player receives their 4 whole cards. Betting action proceeds clockwise around the table, starting with the player under the gun, which means immediately clockwise from the big blinds. After seeing his or her whole cards, each player now has the option to play his or her hand by calling or raising the big blinds. The action begins to the left of the big blind, which is considered a live bet on this round. That player now has the option to fold, call, or raise. After the first round of betting is complete, the flop is dealt face up on the board. The flop is the first 3 community cards available to all active players. Play begins with the active player immediately clockwise from the button. Another round of betting ensues. When betting action is completed for the flop round, the turn is dealt face up on the board. The turn is the 4th community card in an Omaha High-Low game. Play begins with the active player immediately clockwise from the button. Another round of betting ensues. And then we have the river. When betting action is completed for the turn round, the river is dealt face up on the board. The river is the 5th and final community card in an Omaha High-Low game. Betting begins with the active player immediately clockwise from the button. A final betting round ensues. And the showdown, if there is one. If there's more than 1 remaining player when the final betting round is complete, the last person to bet or raise shows their cards, unless there is no bet on the final round, in which case the player immediately clockwise from the button shows their cards first. The player with the best 5-card high hand wins half of the pot. The player with the best 5-card low hand wins a low part of the pot. Remember, in all Omaha games, players must use 2 and only 2 of their 4 cards in combination with exactly 3 of the cards from the board. In the event of identical hands, the high and low shares of the pot will be equally divided between the players with the best hands. In the event that no hand qualifies for the low, then the high hand wins the entire pot. So a good thing to consider is that if the board doesn't have at least 3 cards less than 8, there will be no low hands. After the pot is awarded, a new Omaha High-Low game is ready to be played. The button now moves clockwise to the next player and the hands begin again.